Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Also, welcome back to myself. Obviously, I've been away for the past week. I'm sorry if you have missed my content, as a few people have already said to me on Twitter and such. But I'm back now. Only a couple of hours ago, dedication. I'm right back into it. And today we're going to go and talk about the whole what has blown up Celtic for the past week. Before we head into it, I want to apologise. I only recorded about 3 days worth of videos. I'm lazy and fat, as I've said many a time before on this channel. Get over it. But we're back hopefully with the daily-ish content, and today we're talking about the controversy, can't say that word anymore, the controversy that has blown up amongst Celtic fans in the past week while I was away, and it's something I feel like it would be stupid to ignore. Obviously it's the main talking point for Celtic at the minute, and before we jump into it, again, I've said that about 4 times already, I'm just going to express right now, this channel is not about anything political. I have no political views or no allegiances or no allegiances to do with the IRA or anything like that. I don't support, I don't unsupport, I'm completely neutral. At the end of the day, it's not my place. I support Celtic for one thing and one thing only, and that is the football in the park. And, well, the football in general. The atmosphere, the football, everything about Celtic. Nothing to do with politics. That's not me personally. I don't get involved. I mean, I sing the songs, right? But who doesn't? But, I completely, no bias or anything here. I have no political views. Get out of the way. This channel is not about political views to do with the Republican Army or anything like that. So just getting that out of the way right now before anybody seems to get offended or call me a bias or anything like that. I don't have any views, just making that perfectly clear. So obviously we took on Linfield on Wednesday night in a second round, or second tie of our qualifying match for the Champions League group stage, where we won 4-0. I never got to watch the match myself, so I don't get to say anything about the performance of the team or the match and anything like that. But to be said to that is it's not really the performance which has been focused on, and it is the thing that has blew up, and that is the display, the pre-match display and behaviour, if you want to use that word, of the Green Brigade and their their IRA picturesque images, whatever you want to use, their IRA influenced images of Brendan Rodgers and everything else that was used before the match. Obviously Celtic have came out with a statement issuing a 2-match ban to the Green Brigade, which the Green Brigade then rebutted with their response, which, to be fair to them, they went through in a respectful way. You know, it could have went horribly wrong. I mean, Celtic, it could have been a battle between the groups, but the Green Brigade took it reasonably, and they said they'll accept it. They're disappointed with it, but they will accept it, and are not going to change their political views and stuff like that, which, to be fair to them, they went through in a professional way, so hats off to them. Because I'm just going to say right now, I do have a ton of respect for the Green Brigade, because, you know, what they do, they're the catalyst at Celtic Park, and that's to be fair to them, they are the ones who get the crowd going, they are the ones who are there dedicating 90 minutes of the match to create an atmosphere. Even when the rest of the stadium's not joining in, they create an atmosphere for 90 minutes. They also do a lot of good off the park, you know, the stuff they done, the Match the Fine for Palestine, rhyme, and the whole food bank stuff they do every year. They do a lot of great things, but sadly these are the things, the occasions that overshadow that, and I feel like it does get a lot of Celtic fans, especially obviously the Green Brigade, a bad name, which is a shame, because obviously they're not a bad group of guys, they just have their own political views. Is it right to express it at the football, at a Celtic match? That is the question. Obviously it's a tie against a side from Northern Ireland who have heavy links with, you know, whole unionists and Britain and all the rest of it, so that is a chance for them to really display their message. But is it right to do it at a football game? Personally, I would say let's leave it out. It doesn't bother me. But if I was the final decision maker, I would say let's just focus on the football. But I feel like the whole thing has been blown a bit overboard. The 2-match ban I can understand. Celtic are being very, very careful. We are on thin ice. Let's be honest, we're on incredibly thin ice. This is a late number of bans now. What is it? Like something, not bans and fines and such from UEFA. They're stacking up. They are stacking up, and it's getting very close to dangerous for Celtic, and it probably is on dangerous that we could end up facing some sort of stand or stadium closure for our Champions League matches, which is a worst case scenario, which would be an absolute nightmare. And you've got to look at a lot of people who are siding obviously with the Green Brigade. I'm not siding with anyone, I'm completely neutral as to this as well. I'm not siding with the Green Brigade, I'm not siding with the club, because I respect both. Obviously I respect what the Green Brigade do. I probably are a bit more biased to siding with the club, because at the end of the day it's a football and a club that I care about. But we are in danger. I can see where Celtic are acting from. I can see where the 2-match ban's coming from. A lot of people complain about this ban, but you've got to understand that they're looking out for the best interests of the fans and the club, that we can actually watch our Champions League group stage matches and watch our Champions League matches in general from the stadium. It would be an absolute dreadful nightmare for Celtic fans to be told you can't come to the games, because you know how Celtic play in the Champions League. They thrive, they feed off of the atmosphere created by the fans. That is what drives the team to playing so well in Champions League home matches the majority of the time. It's what menaces the opposition, and to lose that would be awful. Can't even think of a word. It would be that bad, and obviously it would be devastating for all Celtic fans, especially those who don't, sit anywhere near the Green Brigade, that have nothing to do with the decision making, because UEFA are not going to take. UEFA are very strict. They're cunts. They're not going to take any. They're not going to take any surrender. They will not listen, and a full stadium closure or a stand closure or anything, any sort of disadvantage to Celtic would be a nightmare. And you can see where Celtic are acting. They're acting out the best interest for all the fans in general. I feel like the Green Brigade have went through it in a respectful way, which is good to see. But a lot of people have to understand is sometimes the club has to act in a way that is most necessary, and not just because some people prefer having a brilliant atmosphere. All of us love atmosphere. That is what Celtic are known for in this day and age. All the days European glory is gone. That was back in the 60s. We're still obviously remembered for it. But right now, if you talk to anyone in England, Germany, anywhere about Celtic, the first thing that will come in their head is our fans. And obviously we all love that atmosphere, but sometimes you've got to put the whole club in general over that atmosphere. That is just the way that the club have to act. I've seen a lot of people saying stuff like sack the board, get rid of the board. I feel like that would be an awful decision. Also, you've got to understand that this board have took us to a position where we are the most financially stable that we have been in years. We are in a great financial state. If you look what's happened to Rangers, if we were anywhere near that sort of position, or anywhere near the position of some other Scottish football clubs, it would be awful. But we are at a point now where we can say we are so financially secure that we have nothing to worry about for years. We're going to keep bringing money in, and also they've done a great job in getting us a manager who arguably was way above our league, way above. When Brendan Rodgers was brought in, that was a step forward in the right direction, and it was massive. Because after the days of Ronnie Dyla, was it going to get better? Was it going to get worse? We don't know. And they went and spent the money in the wages for Brendan Rodgers. They spent the money on players like Scott Sinclair, like Moussa Dembele. They brought in good signings. I think you've got to excuse the board sometimes. Obviously, they're acting on a way of business in this sort of situation, which annoys a lot of people. But you've got to really take into consideration how much it means to them to keep a reputation, that managers and players will want to come to Celtic, and that'll bring money to Celtic, and to keep us in a position where we can try and challenge to get back to being one of the top teams in Europe. You've got to look at it from that aspect. That being said, obviously the 2-match ban is a big shame because we lose that catalyst, but as you've probably seen on Facebook and Twitter, now it's just up to us as fans to show that we don't just need one section, that we can come together and just, shout, sing, whatever. 2-match ban will pass quickly, which is good, because having the Green Brigade back in the stadium will be fantastic. As I said, I respect them, I don't really have a side, but I'm just giving both sides of the argument here. I think people have got to consider, because I think a lot of people from, especially my age group and the age group of the younger people, will obviously, a lot of people be siding with the Green Brigade because atmosphere is what they care about, and that's just the truth. If you're around my age, that is probably your point of view. You're probably going to be siding a lot with the whole sack the board, get rid of the board and that, but you've got to understand that it's got to be looked upon in a way that is best for the club as well as the fans, and we want to keep away from getting some sort of closure to the stadium. That is the primary focus. Just make sure that we can play our games with a crowd. And I feel like they've done this just to get out of the way and be safe. I don't think the board are going to hold any bias towards it, hold any grudges to the Green Brigade. I think things will just get back to normal, get back into the swing of things as the season goes. As for obviously the Green Brigade, we'll see what happens with their displays and such, if they will continue to bring influenced displays to the stadium, which honestly I don't mind. I feel I don't have allegiance to any side, as I said, but I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like we should just learn to live and accept. I feel like it gets taken too far sometimes, and you know what? It's a good laugh, isn't it? Taking the mick out the other set of fans and just just having a laugh, really. And that's what keeps it going. Healthy rivalry. And you can't have a rivalry without a wee bit of fun. So, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Back to weekly uploading, or daily uploading, sorry. Weekly uploading would be quite shite. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, like and subscribe. Feel free to abuse me if you don't agree with me. See, that was a bad thumbs up. I'll see you later.